Hello and welcome to the two-man power trip of wrestling. I'm your host, JP, John Poz, and on today's show, we are joined by the former NWA National Heavyweight Champion, former WWE World Tag Team Champion, former OVW World Heavyweight Champion, former FCW World Tag Team Champion, Mr. Damien Sandow, aka Aron Stevens. Welcome back to the two-man power trip.
Well, thank you very much for having me. You left out a few titles. I was also FCW 15 champion, OVW tag champion multiple times. And you know what? A couple others there, but I really don't follow because I don't like to keep track of how many titles I've won. Because, well, let's face it, I'm not a mark. Oh, can I say that on this show?
Yes, definitely.
I'm teasing completely, but no, thank you. I'm pumped to be back on. How are you doing?
Doing very good, and obviously, you've got a lot of stuff going on. UWN, United Wrestling Network, Primetime Live every Tuesday on FITE TV, and of course on in-demand pay-per-view as well. What's been going on over there? I feel like it's been really picking up steam.
You know what, it has, and it's always like anytime, right? You're going to kind of start a business venture, right? And you kind of embark on that journey of putting your product out there, and people, they're not familiar with it, and it's risky, but especially during a pandemic with everything going on, to launch a new wrestling product was interesting, but there's always two sides to every coin, right? People were talking about, the public is starving for entertainment. And then here, we have the means via the amazing, and let me just say, I will say amazing people at Thunder Studios. The whole staff crew are just, I tell you, top notch, from the people that check you in to the owner. And it's really, really a pleasure to be able to go there every Tuesday. And it's just, it's something like, it would take a lot to get me back in the business, right? And I said this in January of 2019, right? Because I was still out completely and had no plans of returning at all. But then, okay, so NWA, they just happened to create a product that is what the fans want. Like, it's wrestling the way it should be, circa 1986, 87. And they let talent have creative freedom, and it's just such a good thing. So I'm back in the business now. This opportunity with United Wrestling, to be kind of working in somewhat of a behind the scenes role, is pretty crazy. And I also write the or I don't say write. I guess book is the term. Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, because I don't write stuff down. You just kind of go and do the best you can from there. But no, it's it really is something. And the funny thing is, everyone that's watched the show has just been blown away. Like they said, the show has gone above and beyond expectations in both the production and the quality of matches. I mean, we had Peter Avalon versus Chris Dickinson, like where Peter Avalon outside of an AEW ring, obviously the NWA talent. Serena Deeb, she was there. Just you never know who's going to show up. This upcoming Tuesday we have Eric Redbeard, formerly Eric Rowan. Davey Boy Smith Jr., Mike Bennett. Like there's so many people that are just coming in, and again, the quality of the matches is just through the roof. Production, it's funny. It just keeps getting better every single week, which is great. And I think that now we're really starting to notice a difference in the numbers, and like people are starting to watch. People are talking about it. It's kind of like the thing to do. So slowly but surely, we're getting there.
Yeah, it feels like who the hell knows who's going to show up. James Storm pops up. Like you're right, Serena Deeb is now NWA Women's Champion. What's it like for you just transitioning? Like you said, it's more of a backstage role. You're doing a lot of creative and stuff and booking, so to speak. What's it like making the transition to that role?
You know what? It's been very, very cool and very easy because, I'm I'm very, very fortunate to be surrounded by people that I trust them, and I trust their expertise. I trust their opinions, um, and, on a number of different things. Um, they have kind of just said, like, do what you want. And now we discuss things and stuff, but like, Hollywood and, because I started there and then with this, it's, it's refreshing. I don't have to really, have to, number one, deal with people I don't want to deal with. Number two, I kind of have that creative freedom. But the thing is, like, what I like to do is, some people who are learning too. I'm not going to mention any names, but like, from a behind the scenes standpoint, some very, very talented, capable, good people, as far as I can tell. And I think I'd be able to tell if they were bad people by now. But um, you know, for me, it's like, hey, what would you guys do? Like, see if this works. Like, give them some freedom too. Kind of like give people early on the opportunity that I never really had. So it's kind of cool, when you're in a, I don't want to say like office position, but we'll call it that, even though I'll never be
Right.
office Aaron. But when you're in a position to help someone, to not go out of your way to bury them or not help them, you know what I mean? And
Yep.
in wrestling, you see that a lot, to where, like, look, if I can, make someone think, or like have a part of the business click for someone, and show them why. Because a lot of people, like, they complain about wrestling today and how it's this, it's that. And then look, in one of the two major companies, you know, you can say they know better. Yes, they do know better, but they don't do it. But okay. There's just, there seems to be no teaching going on, right? And based on my kind of experience, you know what's good, what's not good. And NWA is proof of that. They're the little engine that could. And when it was a bunch of us, like the originally, like we would joke, it's like kind of like the island of misfit toys. But no, it really, at the end of the day, it's not. It's like, people could have at the beginning said that, but now it's like, no, we are a distinct product. And it's just a great. I was honored to be a part of the the initial NWA tapings, just like I was and am honored to be a part of the United Wrestling Network's Primetime Live, because there has been, like, so much like new life breathed into me, as far as the business goes, because it's like when I actually see it go off for someone, it clicks, or I see a younger guy get more and more opportunities, and and the talent trusts me too, which I really value, and I don't ever want to take that for granted. Because if a talent trusts me, I'm not going to go out of my way to bury them. I'm not going to tell them one thing so I get them to do one thing, and then a week later, plans change. That's not the kind of person I am. I don't think I had to go back on one promise I made so far. But I always preface it with, look, nothing is etched in stone. Things change all the time. Here's where we're going to go. If for some, and I always say this, if for some reason this doesn't happen, we will sit down and make it up to you. And it may take more time, or we may end up in a different direction that we both like, who knows, but understand I'm not going to, screw you over. And I look him in the eye and tell him that. So that's it.
And what's the latest with the NWA? Obviously, Billy Corgan came out and says it's not dead. Don't believe the internet rumors and and the stuff that's out there. What's going on lately with the NWA?
Well, I mean, things are popping. We had a new women's champion crown. If the NWA, I mean, to say the NWA is dead, like, my God, that's, if anything, the NWA survived how much? I mean, how many years? It's at times it's been
Right.
on life, but now we're in a resurgence of it. And I think, before the pandemic, this was really, really, I mean, it was really taken off. And I honestly think it's still there. I mean, keep watching Primetime Live. I mean, there's title changes happening. I was robbed, by the way. And I will say that in full confidence. I was absolutely robbed. And I technically, I didn't even lose it. because there was a glitch in the system, and it looked like I was pinned. And they were yelling in the referee's ear just to make sure, it was like a Montreal screw job. You couldn't see it, but there was an NWA official saying, "Ring the bell, ring the bell." It was horrible, but I'm still here, and you know what? I am. There's other belts. There's other belts, and you know what? I'm a third degree national champion. I can be a third degree tag champion, a third degree TV champion. Who knows? A third degree world champion. You got to stay tuned.
That's great. Great, like comeback story for Trevor Murdoch for sure to win the title.
Okay.
But with you and holding that belt, putting the the three straps on it, if you will, that was just so funny and so clever. You and the question mark. I don't know. I just love that stuff. It was just
Thank you.
You're the third degree champion. Are you literally just like coming up with this stuff, riffing? You're like, oh, this will be funny, or this will work, or let's throw this out there, because that's just like out of the box kind of idea, but it was funny and it worked.
No, I tell you what, it was. None of us saw that one coming. None of us saw that one coming. But man, it was. You know what? For the short time that we've been together, like we've done some. We've made our small mark. You know what I mean? Like in
Yep.
it's we've been given some good stuff. Excuse me, and I think we've taken the ball and run with it.
Now, with going back to Trevor Murdoch for a second, what do you think about his comeback story? Because I think he was forgotten about for a bit, but obviously he's still around. He's still a great worker. I just think he's just one of those kind of underrated guys. What do you think about his comeback trail?
Well, the man's a cheater, and the man was in bed with the NWA. So I'm not going to say what I think about Trevor Murdoch personally, because the man robbed me of the first. I mean, think about this. He not only robbed me, he robbed all the fans of a great champion. He robbed the fans of the first ever third degree champion in pro wrestling history. There's never been a belt with 3 stripes on it like that. There's never been no one has ever held a title with such grace and such poise that they say, you know what? Okay, this is a nice belt, but it ain't enough. We need to put some more recognition so you earn a stripe. And then another one. And then you're a third degree champion. Like it's a very, very unique and rare occasion. Kind of like a comet that pro wrestling will see a third degree champion. And Trevor Murdoch not only robbed me of that title reign, he robbed the fans of being able to witness more of that title reign. So personally, I'm not going to say anything about Trevor Murdoch. I'm going to leave my feelings to myself because I have class. Professionally, that's a different story. Professionally, Trevor Murdoch, and I say this objectively as much as it pains me, one of the most marketable people in the last 15 years of pro wrestling. Just such a look. I mean, there ain't too many people walking around looking like him. Very smart man. Excellent mind for the business. Cares about the business. Is an honest man outside of trying to, rob me and the fans of the greatest title reign in pro wrestling history. And I'm going to say that. But I've never known Trevor to stab anyone in the back but me. But, like, to have a guy like that who should have had so much more in WWE, so much more. And you're right. He kind of did the Aron thing. He just said, I'm done with the business. Like, he said, okay, that's it. And I remember I saw him there the first day of the tapings, and I was like, oh, cool. Then I saw him get in the ring, and I saw him do his thing. And what? Shame on anyone for releasing Trevor Murdoch, and shame on, all of us for forgetting about him. There's only one Trevor Murdoch, and I don't. When I say something like that, that's not cliche. Like there's. That's pretty much the highest compliment I could pay someone, because I tell you what, there's a lot of people that look the same. There's a lot of people that wrestle the same. There's a lot of people that talk the same, and Trevor's different. He's himself, and again, a great competitor. But ultimately, as a human, just thumbs down in terms of a human being for robbing me and the fans of again the greatest title reign in pro wrestling history. Oh, and is an excellent. I will say this is an excellent family man. His kids are very, very lucky. I know his wife's very lucky. Like we've talked, prior to him stabbing me in the back, of course. But no, well, just I'll say a first class human being, because he is a first class human being. But still, just remember, that's a third degree thumbs down. But yeah, so that's my opinion of Trevor. Again, just that's pretty much what I think.
What do you think
but
about
again, don't need to be. I'm not going to the guy. If there was a Father of the Year award, give it to him. If there was a stab someone in the back and take their third degree title and be in cahoots with the NWA and the referee and everything like that, he would win that one too, because that's what he did.
Many months ago, I don't know if you'll remember this, you should. There was a great picture of all the guys at the taping, and
Yes.
all the way in the back, you zoom in all the way in the back, and it's you and the question mark. I couldn't stop lying. You guys are pointing at the belt. Like everyone else is smiling, paying attention. You guys are paying attention to the belt.
No,
You and question mark, great
no,
chemistry.
it was not the third degree national title. It was my actual third degree black belt in Monroe.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Your
No,
karate belt. Yeah. Yep.
that was something. I mean, I had just earned that. I had just earned the third stripe. I went from a white belt to a third degree black belt in a matter of 3.5 weeks, which is unprecedented in really any kind of martial art and in any kind of ranking system known to the Eastern or Western world. And again, that was due to the question mark being a wonderful sensei. And but again, those stripes, they're not given out. It's not like I went and Amazon.com and bought a black belt for $13.95 plus $230 shipping and handling, and then you go to Home Depot and you buy just yellow tape, and that was earned. You can't just go and buy one of those. So yeah, that was something we're proud of, and we just said, you know what, all these people are smiling. No, like we're gonna show everyone what we've been up to, and we just took the picture of the belt. Yeah, that was
very, very funny stuff. I really liked it. The chemistry with you and the question mark has been great, and it kind of seems like it may be leading to a return of the question mark, and maybe you guys going after Eli Drake and James Storm for the tag team titles as well.
That's very questionable. I guess we'll have to watch Primetime Live to find out.
Yeah, I hope so. It does seem like you were a little erratic backstage, and then obviously it does seem like Drake and James Storm are in your crosshairs.
Well, you know what? Erratic, sporadic. Let's just be diplomatic. I was trying to enlighten the fans once again via commentary. Dude got in my way, and he had to pay. You know what I mean? They took the chair right there, right? Like that's how we do it on Primetime Live, and it's sad, but hey. I'm just trying to do what I have to do, and that's give the people what they want.
Now, changing gears here, I just wanted to ask you about Mizdow and that great gimmick you had over in WWE. I just thought that was just so well done. And you kind of alluded to before, maybe somebody, it could be Vince or somebody creative, maybe telling you you're going in one direction and it changes the next week. You don't want to do that. You want to be like that. Is that something that happened with Mizdow and that character and that team?
Pretty much, no. Pretty much what happened is I was bored on Raw one day, decided I'd fall down when Miz fell down, and next thing I know, it was 9 months later and a whole bunch of T-shirts and crazy moments and everything, and it was just like literally what happened. I think was I got it was might have been the second week, I'm not sure, but after Raw, he called me over to Gorilla and he's like, "So you just fell down?" "Yep, I'm his stunt double. I'm trying to be his study." He goes, "Do whatever you want. If I need to pull you back, I'll let you know." And I didn't talk to him for about 9 or 10 months or something like that.
Oh,
I just all that. I mean, if we were, obviously like a pay-per-view finish, if it was intricate and stuff, or like TV, yes, we would, whatever. But pretty much during, even if it was pay-per-view, live on Raw or SmackDown, 90% of everything was improv.
wow. And you don't hear that a lot.
I didn't know what he was doing, unless I needed to, and that was all improv.
Is that normal for WWE? Because you always hear everything is so scripted and they want everybody doing exactly what they want.
I always had a little bit of leeway, and for that I am extremely, extremely grateful, because look, let's call it what it is. There's a lot of money that goes into Raw. It's a lot of money that goes to SmackDown, but we're on live TV. To have like someone with a live microphone, that's pretty crazy, right? I mean, let's forget the fact that we're in an arena full of thousands and thousands of people, but you're also trying to sell something. You're trying to sell an angle. You're trying to sell a storyline. You know what I mean? So that's something. So yeah, I mean, to be scripted, it's cool, but like if a talent can do it in their own way and even breathe more life into it, that's always a good thing, So I was very, very, very lucky since day one, and I will, I'll never forget that. That was something that no matter what was going on, with whatever, whenever I got to talk, they pretty much were like, "Okay, just do your thing."
Yeah, and that's kind of, I guess, unique a little bit because you always hear, like I said, it's always hearing like script, script, script. Everything is scripted except for a few guys. So that's pretty unique that you can kind of create your own character. And Vince is like, I like it or whatever. Go for it. It just seems really kind of obviously very trusting of you, but it's very kind of cool to see like, okay, you're doing this basically on your own without their creative behind it.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You think that that is kind of maybe more needed in wrestling? I know NWA and UWN is more about it, but do you think that is more needed? Like trust the guys more, trust the wrestlers more?
Yes, and no.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not practicing for the election. I'm actually, or being a politician, shall we say? But no. Here's the thing. It's from what I've kind of learned. Right, it has to be on an individual basis. If somebody does not have the strongest promo skills in the world, you cannot put them out there. I mean, on live television, on a bigger stage, right? Maybe in a smaller show, whatever. But like, it all depends, right? Like you can't put them out there and say, "Hey, go talk." They're not going to know what to say. They're not going to have kind of that mental clock for how much time has gone by, which is another thing on live TV. There's quite a bit that you have to do now. Certain people you should, and then other people need to be helped. So I think like if pretty much like I have a zero stress level, and I deal with different talent every week, right? My whole thing is, okay, if you trust the talent enough to know what they're doing in the ring, especially if you've seen their stuff before, right? So I'm not going to go like when they say, "Oh, you're an agent." I'm like, no, I ain't. There's two things I ain't: a trainer or an agent.
Hmm.
I don't have the patience to train anyone. I don't think I'd be very good at it, because really all my stuff was feel. Like to teach someone how to fall down, like there's so many people so much more skilled, better, more patient, and better technical wrestlers than I am. It's like go to them. But I can like get in the ring with someone and tell them what to do, and it'll be fine. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that's always where I've just kind of felt everything. So with the talent, no, like if someone asks me for help on a promo, absolutely, I'll sit with them. We'll come up with some stuff. And if someone helps me for an idea, but pretty much the talent we book, they're all very, very capable. and I want to give them the canvas to paint on, right? Like my job is to just be like, okay, here is your canvas. You have 20 minutes, whatever, paint, do your thing, you know, like have fun.
Yeah, absolutely. With, Mizdow and obviously, which is really Miz and yourself teaming up together and you're playing that Mizdow character. What was the chemistry like with Miz? Did you guys get along, not get along? I mean, was it easy chemistry with you? Did you guys really
Oh
think
God, I mean, we've
mesh
known each
well?
other like 2004. We were in OVW together. We were friends there. We were friends in WWE. We didn't always travel together. Occasionally we did, but no, him and I, we have always been cool. Like we've had get-togethers at his house, and no, our chemistry. It was not from again being so close, right? It's not like I was with him like I was with a Santino or a Brodus, right? But like we just had this weird thing. Like when we were out there, neither of us were selfish. Like we were like, okay, we understand what the act is. Neither of us were trying to steal a show because as great as the Mizdow was, what's the first syllable in Mizdow? Miz, right? You could not, like, I couldn't have done what I'd done unless I had someone that good. Now, if he had, okay, if anyone tried to be selfish, right? Yes, you can always upstage them, but there's a very brief shelf life. For Miz to be so gracious and so giving, and to be like, okay, we have something here, right? Like our best moments were just like we were so in sync when we were out there, it wasn't even funny. Like we won the tag belts. He just knew. Like I was thinking, oh my God, please come over and grab my tag belt. He just knew it. He did it, and then he got on one post. I went on another, and this was actually one of my favorite moments of my career. I think it was St. Louis at Survivor Series, and I don't remember much. I remember Money in the Bank. I remember the St. Louis, but Money in the Bank was Philly, and then I'm almost sure this was St. Louis. So he raised the belts up. They do. I raised my hands up. Right, and we kept doing that. We went to one side, another side, back to the other side, and it was long enough to where this was going on for about 2 minutes, which is a very long time, right?
Yep.
And I just remember that was like one of the only times that I've like actually was like, whoa, like this is really insane. And it was just I don't know, it was such a great moment. And again, Miz, like all of his success is so well deserved. And I'm really, really still, like happy he's doing his thing. And we just, again, we had that chemistry. I mean, in like he would let me do my stuff. I would let him do his stuff. I'd always be a couple steps behind. Like we got what it was. And Miz he's one of the best,
And you were getting insane reaction. I mean, you got so over with that gimmick. It's great. And it's kind of weird, or not really weird, but it's interesting to hear that like an agent didn't tell you, okay, you're going to hold up the belt and he's going to take it down. You guys just kind of came up with that yourself. That's pretty, ingenious of you guys.
Like, no, we came up with that on the spot. Like we
Yeah,
didn't
that's
know that.
amazing.
We just like, we would, God, there was so much we did that, like one time it was like a suplex where I think it was Ryback. We're on Raw doing something, and Ryback had the stalled suplex on Miz, and it might have been Glenn. Like he looked at me and goes, "Well, what are you gonna do now?" And I just go, "I don't know." So, which is of course a challenge. And all right, we're on live TV, and like Ryback was holding him up there. He was stalling him big time. So like, okay, so I think I went on the outside and did a handstand against the ropes.
Yeah.
And like when he fell, it was so ridiculous. But no, we had fun. We had so much fun, and I would not trade my time with him for anything.
Nobody in the back ever tells you like, all right, dial it back. He's getting hit. You're getting. No one ever tell you dial it back or anything like that.
Word to me, ever, to where I consider Arn Anderson, when I was there, he was I don't friend isn't the word, but he was somebody. He was one of my go-to. You know what I mean? Like we were very friendly with each other, right? Dean Malenko, same thing. Fit Finley, to like love Fit Finley. It's just like we wouldn't talk as much, right? But like Fit was always cool. Jamie Noble was awesome, right? So like I remember coming to the back on house shows and like I'm looking at Arn Anderson, one of the greatest wrestlers ever, right? And Dean Malenko, and they're like high-fiving me and stuff. I'm going, this is something I never thought when I was in OVW that would be going. Goes, well, you're making your money, and then and Dean they all had great sense of humor about it, and but it was just very surreal. I'm like, you guys are the best ever, and you're telling me that me is essentially taking a pee on the business is great. So whatever.
And it's interesting. I talk to Arnold like all the time, and I've interviewed him before, and I've asked him like, who have they missed out on? And he always like kind of mentions you. He's like, I don't know how they miss. How do they miss? You know what I mean? Like, how do you take a swing and a miss like that with some of the guys, especially with yourself?
I don't think it's a miss. I think it's a choice not to hit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I think it's a choice not to go in a direction. Has to be.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Logically think about it. It has to be. I had no known enemies that I known of. Like I've never failed a drug test there. I have never really gotten a backstage altercation. Got along with everyone. Never dated anyone in the company. Never did any of that. So I guess it was a decision not to go. I mean, maybe someone hated me. Who knows? But they didn't to my face, that's for sure. So if I have a problem with somebody, I usually, will try to think about it, not make any rash decisions. But then if it's something that's bothering me, I'll go and I'll talk to them. Never happened to me. So whatever, that's life. That's the business world. That's corporate America. But you know what? They can take your push away from you, but they can't take your talent.
Very true. Good point.
Tell Arn I said hello.
Yes, will do. Yeah.
I used to have his numbers now, but like just give Arn my best. Yeah, I got a new phone. I lost a bunch of people's numbers, but no, Arn, I tell you what, he is first class.
He's the best. That's for sure. Did you expect you and Miz to have this big, when the team breaks up and you lose the tag titles? I mean, did you expect like this big feud, this big kind of maybe not main event, but the big time breakup feud that you expect from a tag team?
Yep.
And what happened?
Douse the flames with a wet blanket. That's pretty much the answer. Yep.
Do they explain it to you? Like it's almost like cut and dry. It's so simple that this should happen.
Nope. Douse the flames with a wet blanket.
Wow. It just seems like sometimes they're creative. It's like something that's so obvious and right there. The fans would love. They were so into you that it's a home run, but they blew it.
Yeah, there was another performer on the card, shall we say, that was, and I know this because some of the agents even told me, but I don't name names and things like this. But when we were going to WrestleMania, they were, where do we go after Mizdow? Where do we go after? Like they were planting the seeds to stomp the fire out. That I know for a fact. And I just said, give me a mic on live TV and I'll take care of the rest. And actually that happened and it worked way better than they thought. And then it was in like Green Bay or something, or one of those towns. But I came out and I was just me in a black t-shirt. And I said, look, I came to WWE in a blue bathrobe. I was this, I was that. And it was very much, it was like an everyman thing. I just talked to them and they went nuts. And then, the next week I was dressed as Randy Savage after I said, I'm going to stop trying to be like other people. So that is, again, creatively, that's what happened. But, sometimes you don't want to accept the fact that something works. And, where do we go after this? Where do we go after this? It's like, hey, I'm the guy that invented this. Like, let me take care of that. Like, you worry about what you're doing. It's obviously working. I'll worry about me. But no, that was just, some people, they like to, you know, have the wet blankets ready.
Yeah, really, because it just, I mean, like, right, that promo, it seemed like a home run waiting to happen. Is that something that it's just, I don't know, like that creatively just stifles you? You just get like so frustrated with the business at that point?
Well, the thing is, like, after the Money in the Bank, essentially Mizdow came from that because I was over it. So I was able to kind of, just creatively be at that level where I had so much more freedom in my own mind anyway. And I think that's why Mizdow was able to happen. And then, what happened was I got excited. I'm like, oh wow, okay, so I'm finally now, um, like, Intellectual Savior was a heel. This is a baby face, but it's like it was the same thing. Because his Intellectual Savior, well, that character had a lot of heat, and there was a lot of, you know, that character and Mizdow are two completely different things. But if you really look at that character, I mean, it worked just as well, in my opinion, from a heel standpoint. And you know, this time I'm like, I got excited. I'm like, okay, maybe those works a baby face, and then it just not. I mean, it was to the point where, like, agents were all cool, but like the upper office, like they wouldn't even look at me in the eye when I would come back from Gorilla after getting reactions like that. I had just said, okay, whatever. Like, we're just gonna go with it. And yeah, so like ultimately you have no choice in life but to just kind of go with it. You have a certain hand you're dealt, and just like the late great Kenny Rogers said, no one to hold them, no one to fold them. So you just kind of play the hand as best you can, and that's it.
If they don't create it, is that true? Like if they're not, creating it, they have a problem pushing it?
Um, I've heard that, but again, how do you always know that for a fact? Like, I think sometimes if you create something, you're going to have a propensity to want that vision to succeed, correct?
Yep.
If someone else creates it, maybe it's just not like, oh, I hate this, and sometimes I'm sure it is, or I hate this person, and now we're going to stomp it out. But sometimes it may just be like, oh, we didn't create that, it's working great, we have to go create our own thing. So again, I think it's just more or less like a propensity to kind of go to your own brainchild as opposed to the brainchild of someone else. My opinion, but I mean that's like it all depends on how you view the business. Like, I've always viewed the business of, like, you pay attention to the people outside of the ring, right? The people in the ring and the people in the back are the least important people in the building, because if the people aren't paying their money to watch, none of us have a job. So listen to them. Um, but again, that's just me.
Well said, for sure. When you did win Money in the Bank, that's one of those things where it's like, okay, usually the Money in the Bank winner, except for maybe Ken Anderson or Ken Kennedy, we know he lost his Money in the Bank briefcase. But it almost seems like, okay, you get the Money in the Bank, they're going to give you a main event push or maybe a world title. Maybe you end up losing. Is that like shocking to you, or maybe you
Yep.
get the rug pulled out from under you?
Oh yeah, yeah. But you know, like Scott Hall said, "Fake when you win, fake when you lose." But it's
Yep.
no, but it still stings.
Yeah. Yep.
You know, what can you do? We were up against Monday Night Football, the World Series. There was some other storyline thing. I don't. It is what it is. It had to happen. You do it, you move on, and created Mizdow out of it. So what the hell?
Yeah, true. I just thought it was great because you could create like such a good face character, Mizdow. But I also love Damien Sandow, the the savior of the unwashed masses, and like I don't know, I just thought that was such a great heel character. Where does
Thank
that
you.
come from too?
That was so okay. So I was in FCW and um acting like Rip Rogers, and Rip Rogers, of course, a professional wrestler, the Hustler Rip Rogers. I started wearing pink tights and acting like Rip Rogers. Um, One of the gentlemen that was working for the office at the time said I was too bland, which, if you've ever seen Rip, that's like the farthest thing. So Dusty was kind of shocked. And Dusty was like, all right, look, obviously, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. So you're going to do what I say. You're going to get a robe and you're going to be bland. You're going to be like Luthez. Okay. So I got the robe and everything. And then it just kind of just clicked, man. It was like, okay, so the pink tights people would boo, but the robe is a way to cover them up. And then it was just like these layers kept getting added on. And I just, like, it just happened, man. It just, like, people compare it to Lenny Popo because it was I would do a cartwheel, which was ripped off from him. I will say that. And I thank him for that. And I have thanked him for that. But then, the Hannibal Lecter side of that character, if you watch like the earlier stuff, how, I would be I'd beg off and then I'd get excited into a car, but then I would like actually like enjoy mauling someone when I had the upper hand. There was a two-sided character that never really got the opportunity to be explored as much as I would have liked it to. Because there was some very, very twisted ways you could have spun that character off. And, you just, again, do it the best you can.
And even the way you held the microphone, I was like, oh, this guy is
yeah.
so pompous. Like, was that just you just in your head thinking like, oh, it's going to be a glass of wine or something?
No. So what happened is one of the other inspirations was this insane college professor I had. And he'd have a cup of coffee and he would hold the coffee like this, right? And he would, like, one time I sat in the front and he was like all over the place with his coffee and like it was spilling everywhere. And, but he was one of those people that was just so intellectual. He had completely lost touch with reality. Like, his shirt and his pants didn't match. And it wasn't a good thing. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, it's April and you have a Christmas tie on. You know what I mean? But you're not aware that it's a Christmas tie. Right?
Yep.
Like he was something. So I just was like, I was channeling him and then I ended up holding the mic like that. And actually Goldust was there on promo day and he's like, wow, I love the way you held the mic. And I didn't even realize I was holding the mic like that. Because when I slip into a character, right? And it's funny because I don't have like a method I go through. I just, like, whenever I'm dressed, I'm ready to go. It's a weird thing. Like, I'm trying to get there. But when I go through the curtain, like, everything just, it's like I'm a different human being. So
Love it.
That's kind of like why I think I'm able to adjust on the fly so well.
And where does the name come from? Because everyone always says FCW has the name generator. They throw it in there. You scoop it out, and one name is here, one name is there.
We had a couple different names, and that was the one that won. That was just like, you need to get a new name. Okay, that was it.
You always hear funny stories like Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler. It's just like random names that they just throw together. So it's like, what the hell? Where do the names come from? It's just so crazy.
Hey, Dolph made it work, right?
Oh yeah, big time, big time. It is funny though because some people will complain. I forget what Eli Drake's name was when he was down there, but it was awful. I mean, I forget, it's something so bad, but it's just funny. It's like some guys can make it work. Some guys just get hampered down with like, I hate this name. Why do they give me this creative name?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you ever feel like that with Damien Sandow? You're like, no, I'm going to make this work no matter what.
No, I mean, you make it work. Look, Cassius Clay changed his name. It worked out for him.
Absolutely. Yep.
And by that, look, the name doesn't make the performer. The performer makes the name. It's that simple.
Yeah, very, very true. What did you think about teaming up with Cody Rhodes? Obviously, he's doing a lot of big things over in AEW right now with the Rhodes Scholars. What did you think about that team?
I tell you what, we never had a bad match. And I'll say that. We never, ever had a bad match against each other as a tag team. Not once. And business-wise, it was like, well, we clicked. You can say that. We definitely clicked. And it was a lot of fun. Some of the stuff we did, from situations where us having to be like the workhorses, to situations of us having to carry a segment with entertainment, to situations of us trying to have to do both in the same night. We've gone out there. We've had, one time we had another segment added to us on Raw. We were wrestling the Colognes, and they said, "You guys have another segment," and we were just like, "All right, cool." I mean, thank God it was the Colognes. Thank God it was the Colognes. Yeah, that was it. That was like that was who we were, and you know what? Good for him for everything he's doing.
Still have a relationship with Cody with this kind of AEW and NWA kind of connection, or no?
No. You know what? It's one of those things. Like when I left wrestling, and he stayed in it, and just kind of never really, never just paths haven't really crossed.
Did you think that they could have done more with you guys together, either as a team or individually?
And we should have won the tag titles. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I firmly believe we were the best team in the WWE.
It was kind of surprising that they didn't give you the titles. Is anything like, I'm just always curious about backstage and stuff. Is anything ever mentioned, you guys? Like, you're going to win the titles. We like you guys, or nothing?
It was mentioned and then never happened. So whatever.
Is that par for the course there?
Yeah. Yep.
So it's as
At
far
least
as kind. Gotcha. As far as when you do get released from WB and that whole scenario, it was kind of shocking to think every fan that was there. Were you surprised? Did they let you know beforehand, or was it completely like a shock to you as well?
I asked for my release.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah, I remember I think it was WrestleMania week. I went to Mark Rhino and asked because I was like, look, I'm not happy. It was just, I was done. And then he said no, and then they did it a few weeks later. So, hey, whatever.
Is that one of those things that's got to be on their terms, I guess?
Who knows? Who knows?
Now, you said you wanted to be released. You weren't happy there. What, like,
Absolutely.
was it all the start and stop pushing and stuff like that that kind of led to the wanting the release?
Yeah. It was kind of like an amalgamation of things. And that, like, you can't get answers from anyone. And I really was not a fan of what was expected of us and how we were treated, as opposed to, how. All right. And then here's the thing, right? You know what you sign up for there, right? Sign a contract and that's why it always kind of upset me when people will go on and they'll bury WWE, right? No. Everyone knows what they sign up for, and if it doesn't work out, don't go, trying to bury the people that paid you, right? Regardless of what kind of people they are. If they paid you, you had a good thing, right? Hey, let it go. But again, wasn't my cup of tea, let's say. Yeah, like the ratio just wasn't there for what was expected of me as to how I was being treated, right? And I'm not going to get into it, but look, it's unhealthy. Time to leave. Time to go. And look, it was as simple as that. And they wanted to do it on their terms. That's wonderful. That's great. As long as it got done, who cares? It got done. No blood was spilled. We're good. It really is that simple because, like, people, some guys have a very hard time and it'll kind of eat them up and stuff. And it does. It's like when you're used to a certain lifestyle, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is different. Sunday night at home, like, what's that feel like? But it's just, that's what life is, man. It's transitions, right? You have to kind of, like, to me, if I had stayed in WWE, if I was still there now, like, the experiences I have had post WWE to now, I would not have traded those I wouldn't trade those for anything in the world. So, and especially, like, some fairly good stuff on the horizon, shall we say. It's just kind of like it makes you who you are, and it makes life interesting. To me, a paycheck isn't worth, your all of your time, right? A paycheck isn't worth just sacrificing so much of your life and not being okay with what you get for it in return. So it is what it is, And again, more power to people there, and more power to everyone who's not there and doing well. So yeah, and not doing well. I hope everyone can just be content after wrestling. Like, that's the thing. If you can be content, and then, because once you're content, like, and I'm not talking about life, I'm talking about on the inside, like, it opens up so many more opportunities, right? Like if you're not having to prove yourself, like you can just say, okay, that was part of my life. It's done. That chapter is closed. Like there's not going to be any burying or anything like that, but there's not going to be, a return either. So it's closed. Move on. That's all.
What is your take on the whole third party thing? I know it's almost like 50-50 here. Some people complaining, some people says you got to read into your contract, you got to know where you sign. What do you think about the whole WWE third party independent contractor thing that people are really a buzz about right now?
Well, again, you know what you sign up for, right? Sign a contract. Do I think it is right during a pandemic to try to hinder people's third party bookings when they're independent contractors? No. I don't even think it's legal, but then I have not gone to law school, so it's who am I to say? But look, do I think that practice all right, I'm not going to talk about anyone in particular, but from what I know, from what I have heard, because I'm not there, that practice of calling people independent contractors and not treating them as such to try to like hinder their freedom and everything, I think that's wrong. I think it's shady, and I think it's just, again, not something that a wonderful family, trying to, and look, everyone tries to have a squeaky clean image, right? But we all know, it is what it is. So look, you know what you sign up for. Not the most ethical, shall we say, because look, someone's got to say something, someone's got to do something. No one has, but you know what? At the end of the day, it does not affect me. It doesn't affect my bank account. So you know what? I really am not that invested in it, but that's kind of my 2 cents. And in the grand scheme of the situation, it ain't worth that much.
Sorry about that. Cat's bothering me again.
Oh no, it's okay. I'm an animal person, so yeah, it's all good.
She's hopping up. I'm just afraid she'll tap the screen and lose the interview. But kind of looking back on the WWE career, I always look and say like, okay, what was the guy's like high watermarks? Like, what did he do? It's like, okay, main events versus John Cena. He wins the Money in the Bank. He creates an awesome character in Sandow. Mizdow is just an even better, unbelievable character. Got over huge. Do you look at like the high watermarks and the stuff and look back fondly at your time, or are you one of those guys who are like, it's in the past. I'm not really gonna concern myself too much with that?
No, I mean, I think it's cool to look back fondly, right? It's of course there were awesome memories. I mean, they're just phenomenal. But the same can be said for my time in Puerto Rico and FCW, OVW. Like, there's so many great memories. Like, I'm not going to lose that at all, right? And look, WWE. Okay, so they didn't book me the way I wanted to be booked, right? That's life. I mean, to say it's all bad and they're all evil and they're all, no, that's not the case, right? Look, I don't want to go back there, but I am not going to use them or try to use them like so many other people have done to try to make myself feel more important or to try. No, like at the end of the day, I signed a contract. They paid me I will say that, always taken care of. And I would always thank the person that was responsible for the payouts. That I will I have no complaints there. I exceeded expectations, I think, the majority of the time.
Yep.
And look, that's what you sign up for. You get what you pay for. And when it's done, it's done. It doesn't mean that like I'm going to lead try to start a crusade or join a crusade against them. No. Every bump I took was my choice, right? It is not their fault. And this is just my opinion. If I have a concussion, right? Look, medically, I'll say positive just to prove, right? Like medically, I know when guys' heads, they'd get rocked, they were checked out. And a lot of them were not able to compete the next night. We would take borderline or baseline, whatever it was. We did that twice a year, I believe. No, they took the concussion thing very, very seriously. They took our, our health, like health wise, always. If I ever had an issue, they were always there. Which I don't think I ever had an issue, but there were always people checking on me if I had, looked like I fell the wrong way or something like that, or no. So like medically, I think it's ridiculous people suing them for concussion syndrome. Like, no, you're just mad because you weren't booked the way you wanted to.
Gotcha. Now, as we head towards the finish, I'm sorry, what?
My vernacular was off. I said you were just mad you weren't booked the way you wanted to be.
Oh, gotcha. Yes. Now, as we head towards the finish, we head towards the wind down. Of course, talking about United Wrestling Network every Tuesday, primetime live on FITE TV and in demand pay per view as well. Kind of give us one last big, push of why everyone should be watching this. There's always surprises and stuff, but what do you think and why people should be watching?
Look, it is the epicenter of pro wrestling. Like, we started the tournament to crown the first ever United Wrestling Network world champion. We saw Peter Avalon from AEW taking on Chris Dickinson. We have Eric Redbeard in this tournament. There's so many people. Like, there's surprises. You never know who's going to show up. There have been title changes. I was robbed out of my title. And yeah, it truly is a place where you can see anybody. You've had Hammerstone on there. We're going to have Davey Boy Smith Jr. coming in. Thunder Rosa's on there. Priscilla Kelly. It's just such a. It is. It's the epicenter where anyone can fight anyone.
And I talked to David Marquez a few weeks ago. He said some other big surprises in store and some big names. So that's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Now, where do you see yourself? I mean, do you kind of want to go back into Hollywood and do some stuff? Do you love in the writing? Or where do you see yourself in a couple of years? Dominating with the UWN and the NWA?
You know what? I've learned at this point to just let it kind of work itself out, right? It was funny because, like, acting as an actor, I was starting to actually pick up some steam. To where I was like, had some network shows under my belt. Had like 3 or 4 episodes on an NBC show, and had one for the Magnum thing there on CBS. I'm like, all right, this is good. And then all of a sudden, COVID. But you know what? It's like it's funny. I've gotten some more auditions now, and the last 2 weeks have been good. So we got some stuff coming up.
Nice, awesome stuff. And of course, like I said, United Wrestling Network on FITE TV for Primetime Live every Tuesday, and also on in-demand pay-per-view as well. Thank you, Aron Stevens, aka Damien Sandow, aka the only third-degree champion ever in wrestling history.
You're very welcome. Have a good one.
Now, where can everybody get your social media just before we go?
You can follow me on Instagram at the Aron Files. That's TheAron Files. Or on Twitter at Aron's Thoughts, ARONS Thoughts. And thank you for allowing me to plug that.
Yes. And thank you for joining us. And I appreciate all the time you gave us. Thank you so much.
Anytime. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yep. Thank you. Have a good one.